The guilt offering. Back in chapter 5, verse 14. The Lord said to Moses, when a person commits a violation and sins unintentionally in regard to any of the Lord's holy things, he is to bring to the Lord as a penalty a ram from the flock, one without defect, and of the proper value in silver, according to the sanctuary shekel. It is a guilt offering. He must make restitution for what he has failed to do in regard to the holy things. Add a fifth of the value to that, and give it all to the priest, who will make atonement for him with the ram as a guilt offering, and he will be forgiven. If a person sins and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, even though he does not know it, he is guilty and will be held responsible. He is to bring to the priest as a guilt offering a ram from the flock, one without defect and of the proper value. In this way the priest will make atonement for him for the wrong he has committed unintentionally, and he will be forgiven. It is a guilt offering. He has been guilty of wrongdoing against the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, if anyone sins and is unfaithful to the Lord by deceiving his neighbor about something entrusted to him, or left in his care, or stolen, or if he cheats him, or if he finds lost property and lies about it, or if he swears falsely, that sounds a lot like the Ten Commandments, doesn't it? The second 5 of the 10. Or if he commits any such sin that people may do, when he thus sins and becomes guilty, he must return what he has stolen or taken by extortion, or what was entrusted to him, or the lost property he found, or whatever it was he swore falsely about. He must make restitution in full, add a fifth of the value to it, and give it all to the owner on the day he presents his guilt offering. So this is pretty much anything you can do to cheat or defraud your fellow man. These are things that you do that rob other people of their money, or their rights, or their possessions. You're sinning against God too when you do this, because God is the ultimate victim of every sin. But specifically here, you're also sinning against your fellow Hebrew, your fellow Israelite. You must make restitution with him. And since you can't profit off of your own sin or your own crime, you have to pay back the full amount of what you took from this guy plus 20% more. And as a penalty, he must bring to the priest, that is, to the Lord, his guilt offering, a ram from the flock, one without defect and of the proper value. In this way, the priest will make atonement for him before the Lord, and he'll be forgiven for any of these things he did that made him guilty. So when you cheated someone or stole something from someone, they didn't put you in prison for a period of time. They didn't arrest you and put you in prison for 4 years or 7 years or 10 years or whatever. You paid back what you owed plus 20% more, and you made a guilt offering, a trespass offering. Down to Leviticus 7, verse 1. These are the regulations for the guilt offering, which is most holy. The guilt offering is to be slaughtered in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered, and its blood is to be sprinkled against the altar on all sides. Hang on a second. Alright, resume. Okay, resume. Leviticus 7:1. These are the regulations for the guilt offering, which is most holy. The guilt offering is to be slaughtered in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered, and its blood is to be sprinkled against the altar on all sides. All its fat shall be offered, all the fat tail and the fat that covers the inner parts, both kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the covering of the liver, which is to be removed with the kidneys. The priest shall burn them on the altar as an offering made to the Lord by fire. It is a guilt offering. Any male in a priest's family may eat it, but it must be eaten in a holy place. It is most holy. The priests were holy. They were consecrated to the Lord. And they're supposed to be eaten in a holy place, which means that this offering is most holy. The same law applies to both the sin offering and the guilt offering. They belong to the priest who makes atonement with them. You go away. Oh no. They belong to the priest who makes atonement with them. The priest who offers a burnt offering for anyone may keep its hide for himself. We read about that back in the burnt offering section in Leviticus 1, that the burnt offering, they skinned it. They kept the hide. I'm assuming they made clothes out of it. Probably they skinned it in order to keep the air from being polluted with the stench of burning hair. But they apparently might have gone on and used the skin for something else. Every grain offering baked in an oven or cooked in a pan or on a griddle belongs to the priest who offers it. And every grain offering, whether mixed with oil or dry, belongs equally to all the sons of Aaron. So this is how the Lord provided for the priests. They could not have their own flocks, their own herds, but they got it from the Israelites, who brought their offerings to the Lord, dedicated most of them to the Lord, and burned up a good chunk of them to the Lord. But the parts that were not burned up were left to the priests, and that was their portion, because the Levites did not have a portion within the inheritance of Israel when they moved into the land. Let's go ahead and finish off Leviticus 7, which is an explanation about the priest's share. The Lord said to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, anyone who brings a fellowship offering to the Lord is to bring part of it as his sacrifice to the Lord. With his own hands he is to bring the offering made to the Lord by fire. He is to bring the fat together with the breast and wave the breast before the Lord as a wave offering." So they would literally wave it in front, back and forth in front of the altar. The priest shall burn the fat on the altar, but the breast belongs to Aaron and his sons. That's the part they could eat. You are to give the right thigh of your fellowship offerings to the priest as a contribution. The son of Aaron who offers the blood and the fat of the son of Aaron, so whatever future priest this may be, because all the priests are going to descend from Aaron, who offers the blood and the fat of the fellowship offering, shall have the right thigh. So he couldn't have the fat. The fat was the Lord. We mentioned that earlier. But he gets the right thigh here. From the fellowship offerings of the Israelites, I have taken the breast that is waved and the thigh that is presented or heaved. So there's a wave offering where you wave it in front of the altar, as if saying this comes from the Lord. And there's a heave offering where you lift it up into the air, indicating that you're dedicating it to the Lord. I have taken the breast that is waved and the thigh that is presented, and have given them to Aaron the priest and his sons as their regular share from the Israelites. Now Aaron and his sons were literally alive at this moment in time. So this set of instructions refers to literally Aaron and his sons, but the continuing instructions from this point forward will relate to the priests, because all the priests are going to be sons of Aaron. This is the portion of the offerings made to the Lord by fire, that were allotted to Aaron and his sons on the day they were presented to serve the Lord as priests. We read about that consecration process back in Exodus. On the day they were anointed, the Lord commanded the Israelites give this to them as their regular share for the generations to come. These then are the regulations for the burnt offering, the grain offering, the sin offering, the guilt offering, the ordination offering, and the fellowship offering, which the Lord gave Moses on Mount Sinai on the day he commanded the Israelites to bring their offerings to the Lord in the desert of Sinai. That is Leviticus 1 through 7. Leviticus has, I think, 27 chapters? 28 maybe? And so we've covered about a fourth of it. And that was the part that covers the sacrifices, the offerings. These are more than just sacrifices. They are also offerings. They are sacrifices, but they are also offerings. So it'd probably be a little bit more appropriate to think of them as offerings in total. Yes, there is a sacrifice element to it because these animals are dying on behalf of the worshipers, the Israelites who bring the animals. But these are also offerings, as though you're offering these things to God. Of course, the grain offering doesn't even have an animal dying in it. The grain offering has no animals in it. So the overall thrust of these offerings is that you're presenting something to God. That you're offering all that you have in the burnt, all that you are in the burnt offering, all that you have in the grain offering. And then you are enjoying a fellowship with God in the fellowship offering, and atoning for your sin, the sin and guilt offerings. There are other kinds of sacrifices. We have the Passover, which we read about in Exodus already. We also read about the ordination sacrifices when they ordained the priests. And we have the red heifer sacrifice, which comes along later. And of course the Day of Atonement, which is going to be read about in the middle of Leviticus. But these are the 5 kinds of regular sacrifices that the Israelites would have been performing on a regular basis. The others were all somewhat more special and limited in terms of happening only at specific times, or specifically the ordination of a priest, the day of the Passover. I forget when the red heifer was offered. I think that was only a certain time too. The Day of Atonement, of course. The Passover, the Day of Atonement were national holidays. They only happen at certain times of the year. Ordination of priests only happened when they were ordained. So these are the 5 regular sacrifices, the ones that would have been occurring all the time. And of those 5, the priests, in addition to the individual worshipers offering their own sacrifices, coming to the sanctuary with their own offerings, the priests would also offer the regular sacrifices every day, in the morning and the evening, on behalf of the entire nation. Those are their whole burnt offerings, every morning and every evening. And they also offer the incense. They burnt the incense, which again stands for prayer. This would have been a constant, all the time, everyday thing. So if you were a priest, this was your job. This was a big job too. There was a lot to do if you were a priest. You wouldn't have had time to do anything else. Like, this was your career. So this was your job, and this was what you were trained to do from birth. And you spent the first 20 years training, then you spent 10 years apprenticing, or whatever, however you call it, like serving in the temple, and then of course at 30 you became a priest. And like, this would have been your entire function in life. Now, we are priests today in the kingdom, but we don't have these particular functions. We still mediate between God and men. We still serve as God's representatives on this earth, and we do the things that God wants us to do, but we're not called to do all these. And the priests have more functions than just this, as we're going to read about.